Welcome back. Just another moment as we all log back in. Hi, Zoomers. Check your volume. Make sure you can hear me. Go ahead and mute yourselves again till you're ready to comment. Glad to have you all back here with us. It's with great gratitude that I get to introduce June Roshi this morning for this morning's Dharma talk. Co-founder of the Zen Life and Meditation Center, also Kumu Hula's teacher of our Hula school here at the Zen Center. A wonderful teacher, integral part of our center, no doubt, you all know her. This morning's Dharma talk is entitled The Hula Sutra. Thank you, Roshi.
Getting closer. Good morning, Sangha. Good morning. Nice to see you all here today. It's getting colder today. Yay. So I saw a wonderful introduction by an indigenous woman. Her name is Shayla Stonechild. Shayla Stonechild. She's Cree Plains. She did a wonderful. It was on, I think, Facebook, where I get a lot of my news. It seems anyway. She said, when indigenous people introduce themselves, they introduce their names, their spirit names, their families, their clans, and the land that has shaped them. It is through introductions that they connect to something greater than just themselves. Isn't that a beautiful way to think about it? How's that? Can you still hear me if I move this microphone over here? Is that all right? Yeah, okay, good. Oh, there's Gwen. What? There's Gwen and Joy. My Hula students are here. Yes, all right. I don't know if that's Mary from, where's Mary? Anyway, so I had never thought of introductions that way, right? Because we're so, in Western culture, it's all about me and I, right? But so I was going to try it in an indigenous way to introduce myself. She also said, when we acknowledge the land, we also have to acknowledge the water, the sky, and all other beings within the natural world. Isn't that beautiful? So beautiful. And we have to recognize their stories, our roots, and the present moment that binds us all. Beautiful. So my name is June Yoshiko Kaililani Ryushin Tanoue. My mother's clan is Tahara from Hiroshima. My father's clan is Tanoue from Kumamoto on the island of Kyushu. Oh, Diane, here's a seed right here. I saw you. Okay. I was born and raised on Hawaii Island, the largest island in the chain of 8 major islands that constitute the state of Hawaii, on the slope of the largest mountain, if you count from under sea level in the world, that's 32,000 feet. Surrounded by the Great Pacific Ocean, 2,500 miles from any continent, out there in the middle of nowhere, but a paradise. I know Chris was just there. And Hawaii is unceded land of the Hawaiian people, right? The queen, the last reigning monarch, was overthrown by America in 1893. And where I live now is land that the Potawatomi, the Sac, and the Fox used to live on. And it's great that Julie mentioned the Algonquin Dam. I don't even know where that is, Julie. Where is the Algonquin Dam for the Fox River?
It's in the Dundee area.
Oh, okay, and it's going to be broken up so the fox can flow. Isn't that exciting? That is just really, there's just another river that happened to. The salmon is being able to flow again. It's out west. So a beautiful poem by Linda Hogan. Walking, I am listening in a deeper way. Suddenly, all my ancestors are behind me. Be still, they say. Watch and listen. You are the result of the love of thousands. What connection that is with our ancestors, right? It took all of them to create this emanation right now. So Roshi has been giving a wonderful talk, delving deep into Yogacara for Ango participants. And this is the time of Ratna energy, which is about the earth, the richness of the earth, golden light color, right? We're seeing those beautiful leaves. If you go walking, it's so beautiful out, golden light. And so Ratna energy is about expansiveness, resourcefulness, hospitality, and appreciation. The wisdom of equanimity, trusting the earth. And it has another side as well. The negative energy, which can be puffed up pride, greediness, arrogant, ostentatious, oppressive, and emotionally needy. So there's a positive and a negative side of this energy, this expansive energy. The insecurity of not being enough, that is such a big one, right? A big habitual thought that we have in our culture, that something to notice. And Shuso has been going through these great study group every other Tuesday night on the 4 immeasurables, what Alan Wallace calls practices to open the heart. So these practices are what will help in kind of getting things back into balance in our lives. These wonderful, wonderful practices. So in this book, I've been part of another group, a women's group, study group, on the divine feminine, the sacred feminine. And this particular book, she was one of 5 teachers who make a presentation, their view of the divine feminine. And she's a professor in a Midwest town, I forget, college. Her name is Shaolan Hu, and she wrote This Worldly Nibbana. And one of the chapters we were reading, I'll get into that later, but anyway, she's very Vajra, right? She's a teacher, makes sense, very intellectual and precise. So from her book, there's a quote by Charles Prebish and Damien Keown, Keown, which talks about the progression from loving kindness to equanimity, right? Those four immeasurables. Loving kindness, love or loving kindness, is a feeling of friendship and brotherhood with all beings. But this emotion may easily degenerate into lust, so it is followed by compassion, or an awareness of the pitiful state into which these beings have fallen through ignorance. But again, this may lead to spiritual pride and a feeling of superiority. So the meditator trains themselves in sympathetic, altruistic joy, that they may share the happiness of others and rejoice in the merits that they have accumulated. This is big training here, mind training. And finally, they achieve a state of equanimity, wherein they make no distinction between friend or enemy, but is even-minded toward all creatures. Can we practice that in the next couple of weeks? Anyway, better attend that study group Tuesday night. So, she says, put simply, the mental training of these four immeasurables reconditions a person to be benevolent, wishing the best for others, and not wanting anyone to suffer, while not being self-righteous or arrogant, arrogantly attached to a certain course of action or a certain mode of being. So that's interesting, right? Such a fine balance, which means we have to practice a lot. I have to practice a lot. I'm just going to say that. I have to practice a lot because I've noticed I haven't been practicing that much this last week. We took a break, we went up to Sheboygan and saw the lake. It was beautiful, and I just fell off the meditation wagon. It's like just looking and just, not doing meditation. We did sit a couple of times, maybe one in particular. And I can feel it. I can feel myself being very, or maybe I'm just noticing, very critical and judgmental in my mind. And that's, I'm not acting on it, but I'm going, whoa, what's going on here? Ooh, I better get on the cushion, And I don't think that meditation suppresses it, but I think there's some spaciousness allows. And in Hawaiian, the word ho'o manawa nui, it means to be patient, but it also means to open your mind. Manawa is like the fontanelle here. Nui is big, to open the mind. So generally, when I'm being critical of others and myself, I can notice my mind is tight. It's tight. So anyway, it's, I'm trying to be compassionate, and I'm noticing, well, what in me is causing this thought to arise? So this reconditioning, this is the practice of meditation helps me to be able to see what I'm thinking and feeling. So Shaolan says, a variety of volitional actions. And I had to look up the word volitional because I wasn't totally sure what that meant, right? Volitional is the faculty or power of using one's will. That's volitional. A variety of volitional actions can be ethical, wholesome, and conducive to the cessation of dukkha, of suffering. Neither wholesomeness nor dukkha alleviating behavior requires uniformity. What wholesomeness and dukkha alleviating behavior does require is benevolent social concern, which has to be repeatedly cultivated to be developed. Benevolent social concern, loving kindness for others, must be practiced. I was like, shucks, I've got to practice, right? If I want to be of service to others, I have to practice. I have to practice. It's not like, lazing around all the time, which seems like the ideal state, right? So the cultivation of these four immeasurables are absolutely indispensable to us, absolutely indispensable.
Could you name them?
Yes, loving kindness, compassion, joy or mudita, right? Joy, which also includes appreciating the joy of others. Yeah, and equanimity. Absolutely critical to develop. So how exciting that Shuso is taking this on here and we all can practice. So now Hula has a totally different worldview than Western. Of course, this is all Eastern also. It's a different worldview than Western thought. So, it's Hawaiians are reclaiming their culture through their language, because their language for the last at least 40 years have been started in preschool all the way up. There are Hawaiian immersion schools now that are, graduating. There's college departments, all spoken in Hawaiian now, which is a wonderful way, because their culture is totally different than American culture. So culture is a way of thinking, a way of life, right? My Hula great-great-grandmother in the lineage that I'm from said, Hula is the art of Hawaiian dance that expresses everything that we see, hear, taste, touch, and feel. She didn't say think, but that's the sixth one, but so in other words, Hula is life, which we all know that Zen is life. So if Hula is life and Zen is life, they gotta be like this together, just different ways of expressing themselves. Hula is very much about opening the heart through dance, and the dance is about a story. And Hula being Hawaiian being an oral culture, Hula was very important as a carrier of information, of stories, of history, whatever. And then when the missionaries came in 1820, they introduced the written word to the Hawaiians, which was really actually very important because the Hawaiian culture was also changing. A lot of changes were happening there. And so, I mean, in the oral tradition, you know, I think you had families, it was their responsibility to, you know, to memorize all these chants. Well, with the written word, now Hawaiians could start to write that down for the future. And they did. At one point, 98% of Hawaiians were literate. They had learned. So that's when, well, that's when the missionaries came. Yeah, and so just in a short span of time, the missionaries taught them English, and they took to it. And all of the chants that we have now are thanks to these writings. And talk about practice, right? There is a term in Hawaiian, ho'oma'ama'a, to repeat until it is effortless. Right, these four immeasurables, to repeat until it is effortless. Okay, so it's not just hula, we're learning, you know, steps, but it's also training your mind. It is training both. Wouldn't that be exciting to train until this is effortless? Wow, I wonder what would happen. So there's a great quote here that I've been listening to a woman, Manulani Aluli Myers, she was a PE teacher, but she got into Harvard University and started studying epistemology, which is about thinking, how people think. And she I think is also a Buddhist because she interweaves concepts with Buddhism and Hawaiian culture. Here is a quote by the Nobel laureate chemist, Ilya Prigogine. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name correctly, but he says, when a complex system is far from equilibrium, small islands of coherence in a sea of chaos have the capacity to shift the entire system to a higher order. I'll repeat that. When a complex system is far from equilibrium, small islands of coherence in a sea of chaos have the capacity to shift the entire system to a higher order. Exciting, right? I see us as a small island of coherence. Sanghas as small islands of coherence. He also said, another quote that I really love, we grow in direct proportion to the amount of chaos we can sustain and dissipate. I'll say that again. We grow in direct proportion to the amount of chaos we can sustain and dissipate. So when you've got a lot of chaos going on, if you can sustain it, and dissipate it, you will grow tremendously. We were walking in Schiller Park South, and you know, there's logs in the road, right? You got to walk over them. Roshi says, the obstacle is part of the path. The obstacle is part of the path. All right then. Yeah, I just, you know, it's a difficult time within, but if we can sustain and work with whatever's arising for us, we will grow and we will help others. We might not see it directly, but it will happen. It's a beautiful Hawaiian quote. Ulua'e ke velina a ke aloha. The growth of love is the essence of the soul. That's Buddha nature. The growth of love. And so what cultivates this? The four immeasurables for sure. And hula, I would add, is also, it's a different way of cultivation. It is an embodied, it's a kinesthetic intelligence that that hula people are working with. They're getting into their bodies and they're moving it in a way that is congruent with their head, right? I want my hand to be right here. All right. I notice a lot of people who are just beginning, and I'm not making fun of them, who are very much in their heads. They have a very hard time even looking at their hand. When I say, bring your hand out 45 degrees. They have a hard time with that because I think they're just used to being in their head, you know, and thinking that, okay, I'm going to put my hand out there 45 degrees. The eyes help. Like I know in yoga, I've heard yoga teachers say, look at your pose so that you can adjust it so you know what you're doing. Anyway, it's an interesting thing that I've noticed, but it's a process because if you have not really worked with your body, it takes a while. You know, you're shifting a habitual way of being, and that takes time. Reconditioning, in a way, the way you think. The great, who is that great swimmer, Olympic swimmer, Phelps.
Phelps.
Michael Phelps, who has won the most Olympic medals, right? And I heard this, I'm not sure if it's true. He, before a race, totally visualizes himself swimming and, you know, just everything down to the detail of how he's swimming that course. So by the time he gets there, it's effortless. He just goes, of course he practices too, but he uses his mind as a whole body kind of system. Yes?
Sorry. Speaking of athletes who we may not think of in meditative ways, the quarterback for the University of Michigan last year, J.J. McCarthy, Michigan ended up winning the national championship. And J.J. McCarthy's from Illinois, a suburb. But every game, he's at the stadium 2 hours before the kickoff, and he would go, and there's nobody there, you know, no fans, nobody, and he would go sit underneath the goalposts. And if not meditate, just sit quietly for a half an hour or so and think about what he's doing. And, you know, he got some teasing for all this, but, you know, in his mind, that helped him be calm and ready for what's really a violent game.
Yes, so I know after a hula class, I feel good, My body feels good. I might not feel so good going into hula class, like, I don't know if I want to be here, but afterwards, I definitely feel good. And it's kind of like meditation, right? It's a practice. I don't really want to sit on the cushion, but once I get there, it's generally good for me. And it takes repetition, like anything else, repetition. So these classes on the sacred divine feminine, I found very interesting. There are different, about 40 women, 20 to 40 women show up on every Tuesday night, so I'm missing the study group, but I'm with this group of women. And they're all, they're Asian, Latina, white women. They're all Buddhist practitioners also, different kinds of Buddhism, which is great, which is fabulous. So last Tuesday night, I got to say about 5 minutes of what my idea of the sacred feminine was. And I mean, I've been, well, for me, Hawaii is, as a state, it's as an island, as a place, is very feminine, right? It's surrounded by water, for one, lushness. And then the dance also, it's slow for the most part, but not always. But the women, let's see here. So getting back to Buddhism, in the early texts, cultivation of mindfulness began with being aware of one's bodily action. So that could be being aware of the breath or being aware of walking, right? Walking meditation, postures, right? And when you're just being aware of the breath, you just notice right away how unmindful I really am, because it's hard to keep a focus of nothing or just, breathe, even just keeping the count of a breath, trying to get to 10. I mean, when was the last time, all right, better not say too much. So that's why we practice, right? So we can get better at being aware not only of our breath, but what we're thinking and feeling at any given moment, so that we can act in a way that is wholesome and helpful to others. So to hula, first, it's the postures, it's the motions, the steps, the hand motions. We start with the steps first, And then we have beautiful music that we listen to, which also is gorgeous, that helps with the meditative flow of it. So in Hawaii, they have this teaching about mana wahine. Mana meaning powerful. Wahine meaning women, female, feminine. Powerful, feminine. And the old stories of Pele and Hi'iaka, the volcano sisters, the fire sisters, right? These are mana wahine, feminine energy. The the molten lava coming out of the earth at least 1200 degrees Fahrenheit totally demolishes everything in its path. And then there's the hardening and the regeneration of that land by her sister, the baby sister usually, greening it. So this ability to hold destruction and creation is mana wahine, right? Women give birth. Destruction, I haven't really integrated so much how we can destroy except in our thinking, right? How we can burn up defilements, I guess they're called, right? How we can burn them up, or defilements, or maybe unwholesome. Even that word is kind of problematic, right? Because in Zen, we're really wanting to actually embrace the obstacles in our life, the emotions we feel are not so good, like anger. You know, we're trying to really embrace, work with, see what we're doing, and then transform. So Hawaiians are all very familiar with this concept of mana wahine. They see the volcano going. They have a healthy respect for Pele. And she can get, she can get really mad and angry and all of that, right? She blows up and everything gets destroyed. I mean, isn't that how it is? You can just blow up and there goes everything. There's your friendship, there goes your, just down the drain. But then we have, Pele has her baby sister who actually can, and we know that that thing coming up from the earth is tremendously rich stuff coming up there. That's us. We are the earth, that richness that is inside of us. So this indigenous, culturally based understanding of female strength and empowerment is rooted in their concepts of genealogy, mo'oku auhau, that's genealogy of the past. They're not alone. And the future, which they're connected to. Aloha aina, which is love and deep respect of the land, because they're all one. And kuleana, responsibility not just to themselves, but they're part of a whole, responsibility to others. So it's this physical, intellectual, and maybe intuitive, spiritual powers of women that women have. And it's individually embodied, but often they work together for the benefit of their family or their lahui, their nation. So when I dance, I access joy, and joy is very healing. And interesting, but Manulani Meyer, she says, the first medicine, because you have to go through sorrow to get to joy, right? You've got to work through it. And she says the first medicine is forgiveness to get to joy. Ho'okahi la'au mihi, the first medicine is forgiveness. So that's interesting, right? Forgiveness of whoever, yourself for making a big mistake, for others that you've perceived have really wronged you. Yeah, forgiveness. And Pele and Hi'iaka were definitely used as metaphors by the queen when she wrote and spoke, Queen Liliuokalani. And there is this amazing Hawaiian activist named Haunani K. Trask, who taught at the University of Hawaii. And she was, I remember in the 70s, I think it was, I remember her giving a speech saying, "We are not Americans. We are not Americans. We are not Americans." She was like trying to claim her Hawaiianness, because we're swimming in such deep waters of American cultural values, which are for them so different and not very, not very helpful. So the way I teach hula, I love dances that have messages, right? Kaiona is the goddess of the lost. We're dancing being lost. We did this during COVID. And I got to write an article. Here's a little public service announcement. I've got an article printed in the beautiful magazine, Lion's Roar, called the Hula Sutra, and it's talking about actually Kaiona, the goddess of the lost, and how we used her during that great period of COVID when people, I think people were really lost. And I know Joy was here, she danced, and Gwen was here and she danced. I think Julie, I don't know if she learned, I think she learned Kaiona. I taught it as a workshop. There's the goddess Poliahu. That song is about a broken heart and love. Poliahu, she lives on the top of Mauna Kea. Poli means heart. Ahu means altar. The altar of the heart, this huge mountain, right? It's highest to the heavens. Poliahu. It's absolutely beautiful. And there's Palehua. It's a, pa is like a circle, and lehua is this hardwood tree, a circle of hardwood trees, like a sangha. It's saying, where are you, my sangha? Where are you, my family? So anyway, I have been doing a lot of talking, but I want to leave you with Mana Wahine is about resilience, courage, and perseverance, which is really the same thing that our Zazen practice is teaching us. Resilience, courage, and perseverance. And of course, love. That is being uncovered as we sit. So, any questions?
Well, I'll start just by saying thank you. Thank you for this talk. I love seeing it, our practice from your perspective. I feel like they're so powerful, the way you weave both hula and Zen together. So thank you. I feel like it's very meaningful.
I'm getting better at articulating it, because that's why, so this Hula Sutra is like a chapter in my hope I'm visualizing a book to come out at some point, about the confluence of Zen and Hula in this body.
Fantastic, thank you.
I just want to say thank you, and I love the way you started with our land where we are right now and its indigenous tradition, and then continued into far lands, really. I just love that. I'd also like to say that regarding dams, our Des Plaines River, the last 5 years or so, at least 3 dams have been opened. The river flow has improved. You can now kayak on the river. And these were at, I think, Melrose Park, a little south of that, and then down at Ogden. It's changed the the river and the water quality. So I just want to spread, not just the Fox River, but our own river.
Yay, Des Plaines, yeah.
Thank you for that, Mark.
June Roshi, I want to thank you for that great talk, and I loved the article in Lions Roar. It was not just a lovely article, but the spread they gave you was just gorgeous, really. So thank you for you, and thank you, Lions Roar. I really love this talk. You said a couple of things that, I'm sorry, I'm very Rajna. I mean, Vajra. Sorry, I am very Vajra. So physical, spiritual, intellectual. Dogen talks about exactly the same things all the time and in different ways. And so I love that connection as I think about it of Dogen, 12th century, 13th century Japan, all the way back to gosh knows when, Hawaii, just that continuum. The other thing I just wanted to say, because I'm a sports nut, all major athletes pre-visualize, not just Michael Phelps, they all pre-visualize. It's incredible. You read about what some of them do. They go through entire workouts in their mind before they do the workouts and so forth. It's very interesting. Thank you for that.
Anyone online, feel free to unmute and join the conversation. Anyone else here? Diane.
Thank you, Roshi. So beautiful, and I really connected with what you were saying with the four immeasurables. The encouragement that it's a practice, and it can be cultivated. We don't have to feel, discouraged or we're lacking in a quality, and so therefore it's not available to us. I think your expression of perseverance and courage and remaining really continually with that intention of cultivating these beautiful qualities, builds the sea of coherence, which I just love that idea, that there's something so powerful about the way our hearts join other hearts and are present. So thank you. As always, thank you.
Over here, Diane.
It was beautiful. Really beautiful. I am, let's see, benevolent social concern. It's like I listened in this, but I wonder if they have a tool within this framework. It's like social concern. Like I think about northern Gaza. Like it's like the pain of this social concern is really heavy for me. It's like I don't know how to turn that off sometimes, and so I just wondered if in this framework there was like that among many places where people are just really suffering and there's inequity and cruelty and or whatever combination of things, wherever it is, that's really painful for me. That's difficult. So I wondered if you could speak to that.
I have to confess, I haven't been even looking because it's so upsetting, right? So I think just the practice of being with that suffering, that's the practice. Yeah, there's a lot of heartbreak in this world, and our own hearts are. Our own hearts are broken in so many ways. So it's good, I think, to bear witness to that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard to know what to do, so maybe it's just attending to that brokenheartedness is the first thing.
Right here.
So along that theme, President Biden went to Arizona this week to talk about the children that have been taken from the Native Americans, and I guess to ask forgiveness and maybe acknowledge that suffering. And I thought, well, what good did that do? And I think it did some good. It opened it up. It made people aware of what we can do and what we shouldn't do. So
Yeah, I think so. And
Thank
that's
you.
good. Thank you, Pat, for
Oh, Michaela, right here.
If there is a way to summarize the key concepts from your talk, perhaps in the form of keywords or a couple sentences that capture the spirit of it, I would hang that on my wall.
Thank you. Anyone online? We do still have just a few minutes left here.
all right.
Oh, sorry, over here.
Just quickly, thank you, June. It was a beautiful talk. Two things. One, I too really appreciated what you shared about the intro, that woman. And one of the things that came to my mind immediately is that when I speak publicly, it can be nerve-wracking for me, not as much as it used to be, and I think the reason is because I'm so caught up in me, I, ego, and that framework just opens you up because it places you in the larger context. It decenters me. So I really love that. And the other thing is I just wanted to say to you that when you dance, your joy is just absolutely emanates from you. It's the most beautiful thing. So, yeah, thank you.
Right here, Martina.
I just wanted to add on that, like, I love seeing you dance. Really, it's an amazing experience. But I also wanted to say that I really connected with what you said about Hawaiian people claiming their language back and claiming their culture for the language. I didn't even realize it made me think of my own country or Poland when years ago it was under the reign of different countries and how people actually made an effort to cultivate the Polish language, even though it was like forbidden to speak it. But I never really made a connection of, I was just taught this, that's what we did, we have to be proud of that. But this is probably the first time I'm making the connection. There was such a big thing because people were claiming the bits of their culture. So thank you for that.
Any other
June,
comments?
thank
Oh,
you so much. June, thank you so much. We are so lucky to have you.
here on.
I really love how you tied in hula and the sense of embodiment with it. And I feel that's an important message, especially in our digital modern culture where we're so disembodied. We're in our phones, we're on the computer, the internet, social media, and just bringing back the body. I think that's such an essential element of our practice.
Beginning hula class.
June, just one more thing. I really want to encourage you to write that book. It sounds really, really important and unique.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
With that, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being here online. Those of you in person, please join us. Mark and Pat brought some delicious snacks for us for kinship. Have a beautiful Sunday, everyone.